I don't know if any of you have ever thought about this, but this is probably what it would be like if the wife kicked me out. Anyhow, excuse me, I'm parked in a nice wooded lay-by to the north of Dolgellau. So yeah, I'm in Wales, and tomorrow the weather forecast, despite the fact you can hear it bouncing down on the roof out there, the weather forecast for tomorrow is dry and hopefully sunny. So it should make for a nice trip out. So I'm going up the coast to the town of Porthmadog and to Tremadog, and I'm going to have a wander around there, have a look at the sights, soak up some of the history, and get rid of some of these winter cobwebs. So that's the plan. Anyhow, with all that rain coming down, I don't know about you, but heavy rain on the top of my van is brilliant for sending me off to sleep. So I'm going to finish my mug of Horlicks and the page that I'm on in my book, and then I'm going to hit the sack, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is David. After years of camping, caravanning and driving around the UK in my old VW Campervan, I've now settled down to something smaller. I have converted a Peugeot Partner into my very own microcamper. Join me as I travel to the interesting and beautiful places I find to visit, stay and explore. Welcome to Microcamper Diaries. In the previous programs I showed off some of my kit and how I created key items such as the bed cassette and awning. With the weather sort of improving, I'm now out on my travels exploring the UK. After all this isn't just about camping out in your car. It's more of a means to an end. I like to get out there and explore, discover beautiful countryside, and I'm always on the lookout for lost history and the unusual. Today's journey took me from my overnight stop just outside Dolgellau and up the coast through Barmouth and Harlech to my destination of Porthmadog. Porthmadog sits within the Snowdonia National Park and is on the southern edge of the Llyn Peninsula. To the north is the beautiful Bay of Porthagest and the amazing ever-popular Black Rock Sands. This 2-mile-long beach is a bit of a rarity nowadays, as you can still both drive and park actually on the sands. But do beware, the beach is council-owned and signs warn against parking overnight. To the south of Porthmadog is the magical folly village of Portmeirion, which was the creation of Sir Clough William Ellis, but is better known as the backdrop of the cult television series The Prisoner. That being so, it is open to the public all year round and has both accommodation and several eateries. It also hosts several events throughout the year and is well worth a visit, especially for those with an interest in architecture or photography. Well, back to Porthmadog, or Porth as it is known locally. It's a vibrant little town with all you'd expect in the way of shops, supermarkets, pubs, cafes and restaurants and the like, so there's plenty of places to stock up. But it's the scenery and reams of history that bring people here all year round. The town has a mainline railway service, but also has not one but 2 narrow gauge railways that run services from the town. The Welsh Highland Heritage Railway has a shorter track and can be found just across the road from the mainline station. The Festiniog, a Welsh Highland railway, has its station at the end of the Cobb, which is the large embankment that carries not only the Heritage Railway, but also the main route into the town. Beware, rather unusually, during the summer, you will often see both cars and steam trains travelling down a short stretch of road and over Britannia Bridge that divides the town's harbour from the Llynbach, a small tidal lake. Unfortunately, as I arrived here in January, neither trains were running. Porth has a rather splendid harbour, but the modern-day boats and sailing yachts belies its rather rugged industrial past. Ocean-going ships were built at the port, many of them being triple-masted schooners. The hills and mountains around Porthmadog were rich in metal ores, and many slate mines provided so much material that it was said that Wales roofed the world. Much of the slate was carried down the mountains by gravity to the harbour, where the ships were loaded with the cargo. Looking out to sea from Porthmadog is an island made up from the ballast brought back by these ships. Finally, after all those pretty photographs and me rabbiting on, I get to the walk I promised myself to blow away those winter cobwebs. It's a decent stroll and not really a hike. I'm just making my way out of the town and around the lake and across a few fields to find Tremadog.
I'm starting my walk today next to this chap. It's just outside of town and just off the Cobb. This, I think it's a chainsaw carving, is of William Maddox, and without William Maddox this place wouldn't exist.
William Maddox was born in London in 1773 and was a Member of Parliament for Boston in Lincolnshire. Despite these English origins, the Maddox family had a long association with Wales and inherited land around Wrexham. Maddox saw the potential of the area and, with knowledge brought over from the Lincolnshire Fens, set about building earth embankments to hold back the sea and reclaim the land for agriculture. The largest of these embankments is the aforementioned Cobb. This tamed the river Afon-Claslin along the embankment through sluices, causing a deepening channel which created an ideal location for a harbour. Though much of the estuary is now farmland, a large proportion is still a wetland, providing a feeding ground for both sea and inland waterfowl. Llynbach, or Little Lake, despite its appearance, was never used as part of the harbour, as it would be hard for anything larger than a rowing boat to exit under the Britannia Bridge. It actually acts like a battery, holding tidal waters which then release, extending the time boats were able to use the harbour. At the far corner of the lake I was surprised to find this, which is the entrance to the Porthmadog Canal, or Cut as it is known locally. The canal aficionados amongst you will notice how the gates work the opposite way to the flow. This was to prevent the tidal water from entering the canal. This is not the sort of canal to find pretty narrow boats for several reasons. Firstly, the canal, which was built in 1815, was really only used for about 35 years before coming surplus to requirements. As the canal was really an upgraded drainage ditch, only small boats would have been used, probably being towed by a horse. The canal was eventually replaced by a tramway, as the canal's purpose was only to ferry copper ore from nearby mines around Tremadog. As these mines became depleted, it became impractical, and a tramway could reach the mines further away. As you can see, my walk took me away from the canal for a short distance, through what I'd describe as a more modern industrial landscape, but it wasn't long before I picked up the path along the canal. I guess it still has a canal look about it, and work is obviously being carried out to make the paths more walker friendly. Signs along the route mention invasive plant removal, but I saw little in the way of wildlife or waterfowl. It was now becoming obvious that the canal was carrying less water and was fast becoming just a ditch. That being so, I was enjoying my walk and just wished that as I made my way over the railway crossing, the cafe at the Welsh Highland Heritage Railway had been open, as I would have killed for a bacon bap and a coffee. Beyond the Heritage Railway, I crossed the road and followed what was left of the canal along a now very well made path through the fields and countryside.
I've always been a walker, hiker, caver. I've done a bit of climbing, but I'm not really the climbing sort, and I don't have a really good head for heights. I've been fine with depths, strangely enough, but so I can hang off the edge of a cave, but not that keen about hanging off the edge of a mountain. Anyhow, I've always been a bit of a history buff, and so I try to incorporate walks with a bit of history in them and do a bit of research to figure out what everything is.
Eventually, even this rather poor drainage ditch ended in what was only a dribble entering via a plastic pipe. Evidently in the canal's heyday, there was a small dock at this end. Unfortunately, this has all gone and probably under one of the new houses. A short length of footpath led me onto the main road into the village of Tremadog. Tremadog is a good example of a planned or model town. Maddox originally named this Maddoxtown or borough. The main roads through the borough were named Dublin Street and London Street, as Maddox wanted Tremadog to be the stopping point on a main route between Ireland and the capital. Unfortunately, Thomas Telford created the A5 trunk road with its Menai suspension bridge, which connected Holyhead to London and provided a better route. Tremadog has had its share of famous residents over the years, which included T.E. Lawrence, otherwise known as Lawrence of Arabia, who was born in the town, and the poet Shelley, who rented a house but left under a bit of a cloud, leaving many unpaid debts.
Right, so we've come to the end of this week's vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've not bored you to tears. This one's been a bit different to the others. We've had a bit of weather and I've managed to get outside. I'm still learning this filming lark. I'm learning something new every week, as I hope you notice. Please subscribe if you haven't already. By subscribing, it does help the channel no end. And that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in about another week.